Welcome, KWN listeners. Welcome to the Kingdom Word Network of Podcasts. I'm Darryl Walker, your organizing host, and today is a special day. It's going to be a little bit different for us here. We're still bringing positive and informative information to men, both young and old. But this week is Police Memorial Week, and with us we're honored to have Lieutenant Seth Cormier of the Acadia Parish Sheriff's Office in Louisiana. And in a moment, I'm gonna give that proverbial mic over to the lieutenant. But remember, listeners, if you have a comment or question, you can email us at kwnquestions@gmail.com. That's kwnquestions@gmail.com. Remember, hit the like and the share if you hear something that you like, and support us by hitting the like or even subscribing as well. Now, with that, Lieutenant Cormier, how are you doing, sir?
Oh, just fine. Just busy as always, It doesn't
Oh yeah.
stop.
I can only imagine. I have a little idea of that. I'm former law enforcement out of Georgia, sheriff's office out of Fulton County, which is
Yes.
Atlanta. But that was many moons ago. I can't
Yes,
tell
sir.
you how it is now. But me and my wife, we constantly pray. We don't send the prayers in anymore like we used to, but we're still praying.
Mhm.
So, Lieutenant, this is a special week in law enforcement. It is the Police Memorial Week. But before we get into that, would you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you came to come into law enforcement, and what you do now?
Sure. So, so as Mr. Darryl said, my name is Seth Cormier. I'm from Crowley, Louisiana. I started in law enforcement at 18 years old, actually, and now I'm
Glory to
35, so I've
God.
been in it a little while.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
peace.
yeah, so what kind of led me to that? My father was a police officer
Okay.
for a number of years, and um, he always used to talk about it. With us growing up, I come from a pretty big family, and with that, I was, I guess, compelled to, help others, and then, you know,
Uh huh.
kind of one thing led to another. So what I do now, as far as background is concerned, so I'm the patrol commander for the Acadia Parish Sheriff's Office as well as the SWAT commander.
Okay.
I also run several other things as far as that's concerned. I run the reserves as well as the honor guard and whatever else the sheriff has me do.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. You are his utility guy. That's good.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, now just briefly,
Mhm.
um, have you seen changes? You are the SWAT commander. Have you
Mhm.
seen changes in the way people are acting? What kind of situations you have to get called out for, to that dynamic or to that degree? And
Yeah.
can you speak to that from the way it was from when you started? Because you've been there for a while, to what you're seeing
Yeah,
change now.
so tactics definitely change. When I first started, when I was 18, and that was back in 2008, 2009, people were just running into rooms and just kind of chasing the rabbit, as we called it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was no methodical, nothing. It was just, cops getting the bad guys, and that's what it was. And
Yeah.
that's how SWAT kind of was viewed as. Nowadays, over time, with the amount of law enforcement deaths as a result of those particular actions, we had to come up with better tactics and better planning.
Mm-hmm.
So training has definitely advanced in over the past probably 17 years. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you as my team works, everything's very much methodical and surgical, and they take their
Okay.
time. And the incidences that we see nowadays compared to say whenever I first started, back in 08, 09, we were chasing a lot of dope and looking into houses and things like that, looking
Right.
at drug dealers. But nowadays, while we still do that, it's not as much that as much as it is threats to the public, threats to
Mm-hmm.
society. That's what we're dealing with a lot more of. As a matter of fact, if I could speak on a little bit of the incident this past Monday,
Mm-hmm.
we had a guy that was in the woods, and he was just shooting in the woods, which is not that big of a deal, in the parish or in the country, county, whatever.
Right.
Um, But allegedly, he had shot at someone's house, and we try to find him, and then he says he's not coming out. So now we have essentially a barricaded gunman in the woods who's not listening to police. Of course, the SWAT team has to go out and
Wow.
deal with him, and we can't
Yeah.
find him. So, stuff like that, threats to public safety are definitely increasing at a pretty
My
big
Lord.
rate.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I like I said, I continually pray, and my hats off to you guys, um, because it's different now than when I was in. That's for sure. I've been on a couple of entry teams going in on warrants, but uh, we had SWAT, but not to the degree of you guys now. So just
Right.
continue to pray for you, and thank you for your service, by the way.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Thank you.
Lieutenant, let me ask you this: for this week is the um, National Police Week, where we
Yes,
commemorate
sir.
fallen law enforcement and also honor law enforcement as well. Can you speak to that? What comes to mind, and maybe if there's something going on in the area of Acadia Parish to honor that, you could mention that as well.
Yeah. So this week, as far as National Police Week is concerned, we are so sorry, they're calling me over the intercom. I'm sure I just texted. That's the sheriff, actually, but I just texted you,
Oh
so you'll
my!
understand.
I hope so.
So yeah, so this week is National Police Week. It starts from the beginning of the week until the following, so Sunday to Sunday. Uh, as a result of that,
Hmm.
we always wear our morning bands, which
Right
you can see that on my badge right
on
here.
your badge,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, the stuff that we have going on this week that was scheduled and planned is we actually have an honor guard detail occurring at First Baptist Church. I'm sorry, not the First Baptist Church. It's the North Parkerson Baptist Church in
Okay,
Crowley, and that's
okay.
1116 North Parkerson Avenue. That's going to
Hmm.
happen tomorrow, Thursday, the 16th of May at 6 p.m. So,
Okay,
and we're just doing a flag bearing ceremony, and then from there, they're going to read off a list of names as far as ends of watch within Acadia Parish, not just
right,
Acadia Parish deputies, but any police officer within Acadia Parish,
right, right.
anybody that was close by. Um,
Gotcha.
so something else that actually occurred this week was the funeral of Lieutenant Alan Crater, who was with the Rain Police Department. He
Oh
was
yeah,
actually shot and
yeah.
killed in action last week on
My
Monday.
Lord, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I
Uh,
went out to that scene. That was a rough scene.
I can only imagine. It's so sad, but it's still. I'm almost 40 years uh, inactive from law enforcement, and
Yes, indeed.
that still hits me hard. I'm
Mhm.
telling you.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a good punch, no doubt.
yep, exactly. And this week for me always holds that as two uh, guys I was on the force with. One, and I meant to look up the first name. I know both their last names because we largely use last names when we refer to each other anyway.
Right.
Um, Deputy Hoyt, Sergeant Deputy Sergeant Hoyt Teasley was the first guy to shake my hand after I took my oath of office in Fulton County, Georgia, way back in 1988. And he said, "If you need anything, man, just come to me." And he got killed on duty. Um, Probably heard about the courthouse situation in Atlanta where the guy grabbed a gun from a deputy and um, shot his way out, killed
Mm.
Deputy Hoyt, killed a judge. In fact, they
Wow.
made a movie about it. And he was on the run for 2 days, killed a off-duty FBI agent.
Oh, Jay.
Just a reign of terror until they got to
Hmm.
him. Um, and so when I heard about that, in fact, I got a call from a friend of mine that was still in the department and said, "Man, this is what happened." And I was actually trying, I was living in West Virginia at the time, was ready to find me a plane and get down and join the manhunt.
Hmm.
Um, but I didn't. I had small kids at the time, and it just wasn't the thing to do. Um, and then there's Deputy Kinchin. I can't remember his first name, but I helped train him when I was, you know, as most sheriff's office, you start in the jail division. I was
Hmm.
the jail training officer, and
Hmm.
Kinchin was new and helped train him. And then He went on into the Warrant Division, and that's where he got killed trying to apprehend one of the Black Panthers that was living in Atlanta. So
Really?
it's a very dangerous job. Um, so we have to keep that in mind. And today, when you hear all this mess about defund the police and all these people protesting police, they have no clue. You know,
Right.
they'll do all that and say all that and go home and live, but let something happen, they'll call the police. You know, it's
Very true.
stupid. Yeah. So uh, but I'm not gonna get on my soapbox right now. But
No, I understand. Hey, look,
yeah, yeah.
we feel the same. At the end of the day,
Oh yeah,
we're
yeah.
the public's first line of defense.
Exactly. And I'm for one, I'm very thankful for you. So, do you have any stories of your own dealing with Police Week, or what you might want to point out about Police Week? What you might want to people to understand about this week?
Well, I think just touching on that point, this is so it's National Police Week, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you thank a police officer, you thank for their service, etc. But it's
Exactly.
this week is also known as Police Memorial Week, which
Right.
is definitely
Right.
for those that have fallen, and that's the people
Mm-hmm.
that we really need to think about. So
Right.
we need to think about their families, what's going on with them, because I mean, look, for those that have not been killed in action that are still serving, and even those
Mm-hmm.
retired, um,
Yeah.
but their families, they're affected by just us
Exactly.
being out in the field in general, so you
Mm-hmm.
can only imagine how a family's affected or traumatized by the loss of their family member,
Right. Right.
in in usually a tragic method,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so so I think it's important to remember those folks, those that have given their lives, during their watch. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's also important to point out that training is very important. So we talk about defunding the police, but look, if you defund the police, these people aren't going to get the help that they need. Um,
Exactly.
you know
Right.
and sometimes the public just doesn't know what they need, and that's hopefully we can educate them. We try to be nice,
Right.
um
Right.
but our intention is to try to, we don't want to defund the police. If anything, you want to give them more money. So
Exactly.
that way they can do a better job for you.
And and I believe people starting to wake up to that.
Yeah, I think
From
so.
what I'm seeing from various things across the country in these various type cities that felt they need to do that, they're
Hmm.
starting to backpedal from that. They're starting to turn away
Yeah,
from that and get
that's
back
right.
to funding the police. So,
Hmm.
um, but it's a shame that people had to be in danger. People had to get messed up. Some people have lost their lives behind
Yes.
this crazy ideology, and
Hmm.
that's the best way I can put it.
That's right.
um, um, but yeah, this is. I'm glad you came on and thank you. Now we're approaching the point where it's time to land the plane. So do you have any other a thought or something you want to mention about this week or anything in particular?
I would say that prayers are always important. I know that this is a Christian podcast. Um,
Hmm.
so I mean, I think prayers are important, of course, for those that that have given their lives in the line of duty. But I think prayers are also very important for those that are actively serving and those that have formerly served as well. Because
Yeah.
PTSD is definitely a thing.
Oh yeah.
Lots of cops have it. And they don't even realize it. Just because you don't go to Iraq or Afghanistan doesn't mean that
Yep.
post traumatic stress doesn't affect you. And
I deal with it.
a lot of times it doesn't
I
show
deal with
up
it.
until later in life for a police
That's
officer.
right. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
definitely a thing. So definitely, I would ask your viewers to continually pray for those that are also actively serving,
Yes.
doing their best for the
Yes.
public.
Yes. And yeah, and it's a lot that are still serving, dealing with PTSD. So
Yes, sir.
that's a very very good point, and thank you for
Yes,
that.
yes, sir.
Uh, but yeah, I was dealing with it, and I branched off into executive protection for a
Hmm.
while, and I was dealing with it then, But it's those who have the heart to serve this way have the ability to press through until me. I had to come out of law enforcement because of medical issues.
Hmm.
Um, dealing with my leg, and if a cop don't have strong legs, he can't enforce the law. So
Right.
that's what happened to me. But you made a good point, and for us to continue to pray for those from dealing with PTSD, because that's a major thing.
Yes, sir.
And just glory to God and thank God for those who press on through it. So,
Yes, sir.
but all right, Lieutenant, and I want to thank you for being a part of us today.
Hmm.
Please remember that I might call on you again very soon to be a part of us. Okay.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
all right, well, great. I'm gonna hold you to that now.
Yes, sir. Not a problem. Yeah, just
All right,
anytime.
good.
I enjoyed it.
Great. I tell you what, I appreciate you, sir. You have really shown yourself to be a good friend. We met some time ago now. It's been a couple of years, and
Yes, sir.
it's you have been a friend, and I thank you so much for that. Give our best to Sheriff KP, please.
Will do.
Sheriff KP Gibson of Acadia
Yeah.
Parish. KWN listeners, remember, you can email us at kwnquestion@gmail.com if you have a comment or question. If you have a question for Lieutenant Cormier, and make sure he gets it and he will answer it. We'll get it back to you. Also, remember, KWN listeners, that God is able.